AirTags, airplane mode, and whether it matters. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by NordVPN. Get secure and private access to the internet with a special deal at nordvpn.com/MacVoices. Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by RocketMoney. Take full control of your subscriptions with RocketMoney at rocketmoney.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. This is part 2 in a 3-part MacVoices live conversation. This time, the panel continues their discussion of the AirTags, baggage tracking issues with the airlines, and then that morphs into a conversation about airplane mode for the iPhone and whether it matters. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking. When we've talked about this before, with one of the big advantages of the AirTag is that the proliferation of iPhones and iPads and Apple devices that help increase that network or that net of coverage so that you can find the devices, and not taking nothing away from Tile. Tile does a great product. It's just that they never seem to be able to duplicate that. They couldn't achieve it initially, and I think they tried, as I recall, by engaging some of the Amazon devices, and you still didn't have that amazing network that we have with AirTags.
So that many Amazon devices.
Can I ask something real fast?
Yeah, more.
Why wouldn't these airlines want to actually implement their own sort of AirTag system to not lose a lot? Wouldn't the solution
Funny
be
you should ask that, Warren. I can actually tell you.
So why hasn't this happened? Like we put name tags on it.
It's expensive.
Well,
okay, so Warren, this actually has happened.
To have like a little, probably $5 tracker device that you put on there, and it's known. Go ahead. You know the answer.
Yeah, tell us.
Okay, so and I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name of the airline that there was this partnership with. There's a specific luggage maker, and they partnered with an airline, and they built a tracker into the suitcases, and it was basically like a Tile or an AirTag, and it's just built into the suitcase. And then the idea was you would buy this tracker, and then when you're flying, or buy the suitcase, when you're flying on the airline that's supported by, then they have a subscription service where you are paying for the real-time tracking of your suitcase. And the suitcases were that product line was dropped after like a year and a half, because turns out no one wanted to buy a suitcase for one specific airline and then have to pay a subscription service on top of that to be able to track their suitcase.
Right. And but if I was United Airlines or American Airlines and said, we have a system now where we could, when we checking your luggage or you checking your luggage, you could put this little, like a bracelet, like you put around your thing, like a luggage tag. Now they give it to you, put it on. It has a tiny tracker, and you have a closed system. You have airports now, right? So the bag could go. The bag's only going to go to an airport at some point. Which airport, you got to figure it out. So basically, all the airports have the system, these beacons. And this should have been like this 10 years ago, and we're still using nothing really.
And that was actually done as well, although the difference from what you described is that it was a single airline, and they would sell you the tracker, and you could put it on any suitcase, and as long as you're flying on that airline, and it might have been out of Australia, I can't remember, then it would do exactly what you said.
That doesn't limit accessibility at all.
No, right. But I'm saying it would be,
really,
Apple should go to the FAA and say, listen, maybe we should figure out something where we could put these AirTags like as a corporate device for the airlines, and they can use.
I think it would be easier just to go to the airlines and say, let's strike a deal. Everyone's going to use AirTags anyhow. Why don't we just have a new thing like AirKit
Right. A system where we know where your luggage is at all times and we'll find it.
And then you can just build it into your apps, and we've already made the APIs for you. All you have to do is hook into it.
And there's costs, and you could, but if you increase your prices and say, listen, people, we have a system now where we're not going to lose your luggage, people will say that's worth it.
You wouldn't even, it wouldn't even really have to cost that much money. You could do it with passive devices as long as you have the receivers.
That's what I'm saying, because they're going exactly because they're just going to an airport.
On a plane, if you're on a plane, does it really matter if you're able to look at your watch or your phone 10 times during that flight and go, okay, my luggage is on this plane?
No, it could be like a proprietary beacon.
Hold on, let me finish. If you're on the plane and you've looked at your phone and your phone tells you while you're still at that whatever airport you're leaving from that your luggage is now on the plane, once it's away from the detection area, then it doesn't really matter because your luggage is on the plane, and when you get to the next airport, it'll be passively scanned as it's coming off that plane into the next area.
No, I agree.
You could do that for probably pennies per tag.
Well, I guess the only question I would have there is, how are you going to your passive scan would have to happen as it was being loaded into the plane.
Sure.
Because just, through check-in, my bag could be on the way to Bermuda for all I know.
But if it's an AirTag type device and you have something in there reading in the area, then when it comes off the plane and somebody's has
but Guy's talking about a passive device, not an active device like the AirTag one.
So it's the difference between spending $10 to $15 for each one of those devices and then having an entire network of everyone's iOS or Android devices tracking it, or just having the receivers built in at the airport with a paper tag with a passive device in it that costs the airlines 10-15 cents. Especially
my only point when I brought this up though is for an airline to actively come out and say we're preventing the ability to do what we really want to do is silly to me. That we now have the technology at this point of time to actively track a device, and something like a luggage is something we all want to track, but so do the airlines too. And the fact is they're using I think they're using a barcode system still, right? They slap a barcode on your thing, and then they have to scan it coming out. So it is passive, but we could do the active tracking where, now we could see without, if it went to Dallas, and then if your suitcase went to Dallas, it will check in there and with the AirTags when it hits an iPhone. And then if it went to wherever, Saskatchewan, same thing.
The barcode seems to work for FedEx and UPS. I think one thing that we don't know here is why are airlines losing luggage anyway?
Yeah.
No, I mean seriously, not morally. Like, what's the technical thing happening?
Yeah.
For one thing, you're talking about here. Everything you're talking about is we're going to attach something to your luggage, and they already do that. They attach a barcode, and they should be able to track that. And most likely what's happening in most cases where it's lost is that's getting separated, and that could happen to a device that's attached to. And in some cases, maybe it's not accidental. So attaching, whether you attach a barcode or some kind of a device, somebody that wants to be malicious, they can remove that from your luggage, and then your, whatever your system isn't going to work. So,
hold on. If they remove it and it's active tracking, then it's following the person who took it.
No, once
they just throw it away
from the luggage, you just toss it in the trash.
Yeah.
But if it's the problem with barcodes is that it still requires a person on both ends to hold the tag up to something that's going to scan it. I'm talking about something that would automatically, as it passes through a portal, is scanned, because each one of the devices would have a unique and separate ID.
Are you 100% sure that somebody has to hold the barcode up to? I'm not sure that that's true in 2022.
I think it is.
There's
not
all
at a
kinds
modern
of laser
airport.
things. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they could
Okay.
have a device that could be 6 feet away and it's just and
Okay.
this.
How is it going to read it if it's under
It
the
scans in
baggage, or if
360 degrees.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
So
you-
it doesn't matter where the tag is.
Webb, you said not at
Well,
a
obviously, it's not working very well if they're still losing a lot
It's
of
like-
luggage.
It's like the self-cashier lanes. Takes me like 20 minutes to try to scan something.
Webb, you said not at a
Yeah.
modern airport.
Well, just the baggage system. We're building a new terminal here in Kansas City, and I had the opportunity once at O'Hare to go behind the scenes on their luggage system, which is just a massive array of conveyor belts, and how they get anything right amazes me, but they do. It's just the scanning thing, and they use the barcodes because it is cheaper. They can't put a hardware device on every piece of luggage. But at least my experience, when they put the barcodes on, they usually put them in 2, if not 3 locations on the bag, usually on the handle, on the side, and then on the or on the front and then on the side. So they try to get it, and as Jeff said, it does kind of a 3D thing. I do recall when the new Denver airport opened, though.
Yeah.
They had a tremendous problem just because it was state of the art at the time, and I think those systems have really settled down. The other thing is that I don't think, and I don't know this as an expert, that each individual airline owns the luggage conveyor. I think that's a joint usage for different airlines because they have to do the inter airline transfers. So I think the issue we like to blame the airline, but it could very well be how the baggage handling is being done at the airport level, not at the individual airline. So a lot of blame to go around.
Yeah,
Well,
but it's
and-
always who had it last. And as far as the passenger is concerned, that was the airline.
And I guess,
These conveyor systems too are very good. Is that if they don't know what it is, they'll kick it out. And then it requires human intervention. That's a good way for it to get lost or significantly delayed, because you got to get the human intervention in there. I rest my case.
well, first of all, I thank you for sort of reminding me, because it's something we all overlook every time I fly. I've got little stickers at multiple places on my bag, and they're just like that by that, but they have a barcode on it, and I assume that barcode matches the barcode that's coming out of the main tag on my luggage. Maybe not. Maybe it's a secondary code. But so the 360 thing makes perfect sense. Well, the thing that I would love to have somebody that knows something, and maybe somebody here does, or maybe somebody in the chat room does. But the transportation industry, cargo transportation, I mean, they have NFC tags all over the place, so they can tell where things go. And I'm a little surprised that maybe we haven't seen something like that. Now, I'm the first one to tell you, I don't know what the cost of that would be when you think of the number of bags that show up on the average airline with a full flight. That may become cost prohibitive very quickly. But I guess the thing that still bothers me about this whole deal is that anybody is suggesting that, using AirTags is a bad thing. That if I decide my luggage is worth it, why would you prevent me from tracking it?
I think that there's just somebody that had access to the Lufthansa Twitter account, and they made their own decision that wasn't consulted on by people that really had power at Lufthansa, and this is an own goal. Somebody may be getting fired or demoted or something. I don't. Corporations have thousands of employees, and they can make goofs. I think there was somebody that was like, we're sick of this AirTag stuff, and then now it's gotten all this. You talk about bad publicity from losing luggage. Well, this has just been a terrible publicity, and I would guess that there's going to be people for the next 5 years that are going to be like, I'm going to, anytime I can avoid Lufthansa, I will, no matter what the outcome of this is. So this is.
I think the mistake was the wording that they used, because Lufthansa, they're not denying that they're not allowing AirTags in checked luggage. They're denying that they banned them. They're saying that the regulations that they have to comply with through IATA are forcing them to do this. That this is a guideline that they have to follow, and so it's not in their hands. Sorry, people, we just can't do it. That's what the rules are.
This edition of MacVoices is supported by RocketMoney. Cancel unnecessary subscriptions with RocketMoney at RocketMoney.com. Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month in subscriptions, while the actual total is closer to $200. That's right, you could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions that you don't even know about or have forgotten about. There's a way to take care of that. It's called RocketMoney, formerly known as Truebill. RocketMoney shows you all your subscriptions in one place and cancels what you don't want for you. RocketMoney can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. You may even find out you've been double charged for a subscription. To cancel a subscription, all you do is press Cancel, and RocketMoney takes care of the rest. Get rid of your useless subscriptions with RocketMoney now. Go to rocketmoney.com/MacVoices. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/MacVoices. rocketmoney.com/MacVoices. Thanks to RocketMoney for supporting this week's MacVoices. Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by NordVPN. Get secure and private access to the internet. I don't know about you, but I take my privacy pretty seriously, and my security even more seriously. If you are in that same camp, then you need to check out NordVPN. NordVPN keeps your information encrypted, so you never have to worry about your IP or location getting out. They've also doubled down on keeping you safe with their new threat protection features. Say goodbye to intrusive website ads and malware. Even if you make a mistake and download an infected file, threat protection kicks in and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Don't forget, there's literally no risk to you with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Give it a try, and if you like it, great. If you don't, they'll issue a refund and you can pretend the entire situation never even happened. Check it out at nordvpn.com/MacVoices to get your subscription started today. That's NordVPN, NordVPN.com/MacVoices. Thanks to NordVPN for supporting this week's MacVoices. Jeff, you did some research on this. One of the articles that I read said something about, and I can't quote it, so I'm sorry. And it wasn't necessarily the one I just threw in the chat room because I read several of these, but that it was the fact that these are transmitting devices of one kind. I mean, they're sending out a signal, and that was one of the big issues. Does that fall in line with the research you did as far as what's allowed and not allowed?
It's one of the issues that they're claiming is forcing them to do this, and the reality is that the type of signal that's being output has been deemed to not be significant, to not matter. It's a low enough output, and it's on the rate frequencies that it wouldn't impact anything anyhow.
Okay. I mean, again, this is one of those throwaway stories, but you dig a little bit into it, and it just seems so strange that in a world where we can solve a problem like this with technology, what's the reason that they wouldn't want us to use it? And their terrible luggage record might be one, but I still go back and say, okay, what does it cost them to retrieve a piece of luggage and get it back to where the owner, versus whatever their allowance is for, okay, we lost your luggage, so here's $100, $200, $300, $400. It's been a long time since I've lost any luggage. And that's to the airline credits too, because Webb, I'm with you. I've had the opportunity to go in the back end, and you think, how do they ever get anything right? And they get a pretty darn high percentage of it, or at least where I am. But when they lose it, that's a big hit, especially if my luggage is full of any kind of I don't put the electronics in the checked bag, Guy. I don't know if you do or not, but that's what I carry on.
I think the story I just read said the guy who was on Twitter thought he thought they meant it was a Note 5, a Samsung Note 5. He got confused between an AirTag and a Samsung Note, so that's why.
Well, they look so much alike.
It seems to me like there's no story here until we hear that somebody, either their bag was confiscated or they were denied access to a flight.
I think it was.
This is like one tweet.
Mistake. Yeah.
Forget it. There's no story here.
Yeah, and Dave posted an article saying they're denying it. So.
Yeah, there's been a number of stories that they've been denying this whole thing.
Yeah. If they weren't, if they meant it and said it, they would say we said it. Well,
the part they're denying is that they are responsible for banning the AirTags.
But the fact is that they have not said, "Yep, we're checking for these. If we find them, there's going to be consequences." They're not saying any of that, and there haven't been any consequences.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, the consequences have been that people have been able to figure out that their bags aren't where they're supposed to be, and it's looking bad for some airlines.
No. I'm saying
no. I know what you're saying.
Let's say that Lufthansa really was going to ban them. Okay, now what? It's one thing to say we're banning them, but what if I put an AirTag in my luggage? Now, what are you, Lufthansa, going to do about it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The only way Lufthansa would really be able to enforce something like that would be to take every single checked bag that is going onto all of their flights and inspect each one of them.
Yeah, and they're not going to do that.
And that's just not practical.
No.
But to be fair, they do that with a lot of things,
well,
dangerous.
What they could do is just sit in a room or travel with them for a little while and see if they get a message on their phone saying there are unidentified AirTags traveling with you. They could do that.
They could do that, or if they scan and see it, I guess they could take it just like they could take a Note 5 before he went on the plane. They did that too to a few people, so they could confiscate the tag. I guess is what they could do.
They've taken these things out of people's luggage.
Not that we know of.
No.
They're just saying
you
can't do it.
Have they taken anything? Like a Note 5 they've taken out of somebody's luggage?
No, out of carry-ons, because people...
Right, but carry-ons they're visible. They're, right there. But we're talking about luggage.
Well, they scan it too. You can't put a semi-automatic gun in your luggage. There's things you can't put in there and that's going to go through security.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm next up on MacVoices. Airlines are building Faraday cages to put the lost luggage in, so you can't find it. Well,
actually, I was going to say on the plane they're basically in a Faraday cage, which is the other issue as far as could the radio waves be a problem? Well, most freight. First of all, most air freight is containerized now, so it's in a metal cage when it goes on the plane.
I don't put my phone in airplane mode when they tell me to every time I take off and land. So, and we survived. I'm not a
Warren.
You rebel.
Does anybody?
Rebel.
Yes.
None of you do. I guarantee.
Yes.
Who does?
Yes.
Who does?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't want my battery to be dead when I show up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I fly first class.
I might sneak turn it on, but like when we're approaching the airport. But
no, but really.
Oh, good, David.
I've never ever turned my plane. Airplane
I don't do that all the time. If at all.
And we survived. It's
I don't care about you surviving, Warren. I want to survive. Stop turning.
Well, you could produce a story about an airplane crashing because somebody didn't turn on airplane mode. Then I'll start turning it off.
So remember long ago when the original clamshell iBook came out. So I'm on a flight shortly after that came out, and I've got my Pismo MacBook Pro, and sitting beside me is a friend with their iBook, and we realized that we needed to exchange files for a project we're working on, and we just didn't have anything to connect the computers or move the files, and so I asked a flight attendant, is there a problem if we turn on Wi-Fi on these computers so we can make a little network between the two and share files? She says, I have no idea. And so I told her what frequencies were being used. And she's like, I'm going to go ask the
that
captain.
helps. Yeah.
And so she goes,
the fact that you asked,
you're using those
the fact that you asked the stewardess of any of this.
This is the world I live in. People are amazed when they travel with me. Anyhow, she goes, and after about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, she comes back and she says, "Yeah, the captain looked at everything, and there's literally nothing that you can do with those radios that will have any impact on this flight. Make your Wi-Fi network."
If you're making it, the plane starts to go down, and
so we did.
off. We're almost done with the transfer. We got 2 more seconds as you got like 5 minutes to hit the ground. Okay, disconnect.
Okay,
disconnect. Yeah,
that is.
That's the right answer, but I don't think you were anywhere near guaranteed to get the right answer. And
I had no idea.
And personally, I would not have asked. I would have just done it.
I mean, Jeff, if you think there was a possibility of something happening, then you shouldn't have done it. I guess is my point. In your mind, if you thought that there was any issue of creating this network, then don't do it. Because
also at this point, planes have Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Well, at that point, Wi-Fi was so brand new. Like watching.
Yeah, you're right. You're talking
watching
about,
them jump off the scaffolding with an iBook in their hands, and the connection was still there. I mean, that was only like 4 months.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I'm going to go with at that time period. There's no way the pilot had any idea whether what he said was true or not.
Probably not. But if the plane had crashed, at least it wasn't my fault.
Still have open air cockpits with round goggles.
In the 20 years or 30 years of Wi-Fi, we have not heard of one incident of Wi-Fi causing an issue with an airplane
because it can't.
Right.
Yeah. And Warren, you're fine not putting your thing in airplane mode. I am not in any way, saying that you're going to cause a problem. All you're going to do is run your battery down.
Well, I want to use my phone. I don't.
And if you use your phone, it's not a problem for the airplane, but it's definitely a problem for the cell network.
Wow. Okay, so a couple things here. First off, I think Webb is frozen. So Webb, come back when you can.
He said he was going. He said BRB in the chat.
Yeah, but I'm surprised his picture froze. Second, half of the MacVoices Live panel is going to be banned from flying when the airlines hear this because they're going to be looking for you guys.
I'm not flying anywhere anyway.
Story of my life.
Yeah, but the third thing is, and whoever said it, I'm not sure who brought it up, that now we do have the in-flight Wi-Fi, and of course you're going to have to turn your Wi-Fi on to use the in-flight Wi-Fi.
Right.
What seems to be the issue now, that call it airplane mode or whatever, they ask you to make sure your cell signal is turned off.
No, they just say airplane mode for.
And Warren, and that there goes Webb's thing, and that may be just certain airlines not updating their scripts, because I know the ones that I've flown, they have specifically said make sure your cellular connectivity is turned off. So I think that's where the issue is. Now, I'm sure Warren doesn't turn that off either, but
I don't turn on it. I mean, so you hit a certain level. I mean, you hit a certain level and you lose cell network anyways, right? But it takes a little bit of time, and sometimes you'll still get it. Like when on 9/11, Todd Beamer was able to make a cell phone call because they were low enough.
No. He was using the in-flight phone.
Was he using that phone at that time?
Yeah, he was not. That was not a cell call.
Because I know some people were trying to use their cell, though. Yeah.
If you put an iPhone currently in airplane mode, like it's the full cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth are turned off. They're still not turned off.
No, it is.
No, it's not. No. It is.
Airplane radios
turns
are.
off.
No, radios turns off.
No, they are not. Well, for Bluetooth, Wi-Fi and cellular will turn off. Bluetooth stays on, and the little symbol showing it's active goes gray. Bluetooth stays on; it does not turn off on an iPhone, and that's why people, when they put their iPhones in airplane mode and they have their AirPods in, they're still listening to music because Bluetooth didn't turn off. And that's why now when you take your iPhone out of airplane mode, your watch comes out of airplane mode too. You don't have to manually change it. It's because even in airplane mode, Bluetooth is still on.
Well, as Chuck's saying that it's the actual data, cell data. That's
Yeah, I mean, if
what to
you
worry
pop
about.
up in your iPhone, you can turn your cellular off,
right.
and still leave Wi-Fi on, still leave Bluetooth on.
But
I mean,
so you're saying the cell data is what the airlines are concerned about interfering with their systems?
The cell signal. I'm not going to specify data. I think it's just the signal period is what is at issue.
And actually, I think it's not so much the airplane; it's the cell system. The cell system is not designed to have cell nodes hovering 40,000 feet over. It's designed, the idea of the cell system is here you are, and there's some local towers close to you, and you connect to the closest tower.
And you're not moving fast.
It's not the moving fast, it's that you're just connecting to one tower. So, each tower can have a few hundred people connecting to it. Well, if you're 40,000 feet up, now you're in range of like 50 cell phone towers, and you're blanketing that whole thing and really messing up.
But Jim,
I have a question. Hold on.
That doesn't mean it's not going to work. And private pilots do it all the time.
What do you think of this?
Cell phone calls all the time.
Okay, hold on, Warren. Let Webb get in.
Oh, I was just going to say, and I understand your point. There is a widespread system that the airlines use, and also on the corporate side, called GoGo, and that is a cellular system. That is not a satellite-based system.
Right.
Speaking of satellites, do you think the emergency satellite on a 14 will work on a plane?
No.
It can't penetrate through the skin of the aircraft.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Warren, if you want to stick your arm out of the window after you break the window as the plane's going down because you've depressurized the cabin, then
the people will be really mad at you too. So
yeah,
I think
if I was being hijacked and I didn't have my hand out the window and was able to make an emergency call, that'd be kind of neat.
They say that SOS feature only works when you're outside, first of all, and if you're outside in a plane, then
you're closer to the satellite.
You're probably not. You're probably not making calls, and it's probably also a problem if you're going a few hundred miles an hour and you're trying to aim.
So wait, the satellite only works if you're outside. So
yes,
if I drive my car off a cliff and still I'm alive, but I'm in the car and don't have cell service on, it won't work. I'm stuck in the car. If I'm trapped in a car,
just never mind.
If I'm trapped in a car with no cell service,
I know. It's like Warren's coming up with these,
you can't get out of the car.
I'm trapped in a car. Yes.
Yeah. No, it won't work.
Yeah.
You won't be able to use it.
That's
if Warren's car goes off the bridge and is in 500
Chuck, I'm
feet
asking
of water.
a legitimate question. If I'm in a car accident,
I think it is a legitimate question.
If I'm in a car accident and I can't get out of the car and I can't get a cell phone signal,
and let's not forget, if you're on a roller coaster, the phone might think you have a crash.
That's right.
So Warren,
yes.
If
why aren't we talking about
able
that?
to have line of sight with the satellite through the car, like through one of the windows, it will work. If you're in a position where, say, like the roof is between you and where the satellite would be, I don't think it's likely that you would be able to make a good connection.
But
considering so much of a car is glass, the likelihood that you can use that SOS feature in a car is pretty good.
What about the plane window? Plane window is clear.
Yeah, but it's also a thing like this, and
it's also pointing sideways, not up.
Yeah, unless there's a satellite that's out the window, the right angle there.
These are all legitimate questions.
I think they're legitimate, but you're talking about some very specific situations, and you're never going to be able to really test it until you get in that situation.
No, but if you're in a deep canyon, if Apple could come back and say, somebody was able to make an emergency call in the air, that would be kind of neat.
But Warren, if you go down in like a deep, narrow canyon,
the one who needs
it's not going to work
emergency
either.
Call. Why do you need to make an emergency call from an airplane, Warren?
What if the pilots are evil? I don't know.
It's too late.
What if they ran out of chicken?
Okay.
I think it's time to move on now.
What if
We're done.
What if I had to call Apple from the airplane to ask if Jeff's Wi-Fi network was going to work and bring down the plane?
Warren, don't make me mute you. That's it. Don't make me mute you, please.
Whoa.
Please. The final topic for this MacVoices Live panel is the reported worldwide decline in PC shipments and what it means for Apple, if anything. That's next time on MacVoices. I hope to see you then. Until then, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.